Yaminapo, Arokrenime, Yere Abiye Hector Goma, Mingba Wakirike Radio, Anibo Eya Warila Sam, Wasa Otoroko Bua, Piki Duko Wasamama Aria Kwen Goloma, Wasa Nichere, Ane Se Ibi Gose, Che Gose wa Mimi Wonyao, Tatarie Atelise, Mena Semini na Eremini Awo, Die. Mesok ma insone ama belema dumo yana biako. My karama ye, mina ama digidiki rapuma. Ine wa puki okuma. Mena gben ye ini wona sepike ine da se fribie chubia. Tada karama ye, mine krike besebe pakabo tumini mangba. Mena kubie majike wa sise se bibio gbo so barabo frideki wenge. Mina mama bibia gose. Ine karamaye. Bomini na okwara puma deke wengari bifrema. Wakili duko belema. Mengba na kwembi abo ane mina bo. Toro fiafia engineer. Papa me George ewo. Mbre Ibolasa.
Okrenimo Obasa Noe Alapuna Remini na Amasa kwa Okrenime and your Bibele Mai was some men and member name Wabo Okwain Minabu Mapere Meso Seke the Mawari Smoke Monore and so I would about trust him Nabu Pro about me Wape Moye while Mudu gonna be Okwain me what time you English would go there what time you will click and I would go there one more passes Umeneduko, and so can be Kulma Mukumala Abara. I go Krenime, Umbolasa.
Mebaka. So, engineer, tell us about yourself. Just anything, tell us about yourself.
Okay, I am Doctor Engineer George Papa me Sunday Ewo. And the men about Nimike and a doctor in Soako. Sometime on the 7th of last month, being October, I was conferred with a doctorate degree of public administration by the University of Nicosia in conjunction with the London Bridge Business School of the United Kingdom. And this I got after a real study of my activities and recommendation for that award. So presently now I am a doctor and by profession, I am a mechanical engineer. I did my first degree in the River State University of Science and Technology there in Den, and then continued to do my master's in engineering management. I finished my engineering management sometime in 2010. And then after then, I've been having lots of offers for doctorate degree, but I decided to focus on my job. And as luck may have it, I finally enrolled for this doctorate of public administration, which I have just been conferred with on the 7th of October. Presently, I am a mechanical engineer by profession, and I am also a practicing leadership role model. I want to say that it's not been easy, but the grace of God has led me this far, and I am passionate to do more for the people that I come across with.
Congratulations on your doctorate award. Now, yes, I can see looking at your records that you did your BTech and Masters in Mechanical Engineering Management at former UST, now River State University. In terms of leadership role, you were made a Niger Delta Peace Ambassador in September 2018 by the Niger Delta Coalition for Peace and Progress. Can you tell us a little about that, please?
Okay, that's based on also a recommendation by some well-meaning Nigerians that had seen me, spoke with me and seen my handworks and decided to nominate me to that platform for me to be awarded. And I was privileged to be awarded among renowned individuals and personalities within the Niger Delta Forum, including, I remember our king and King Ateketon was also being awarded in that ceremony. The reason I was awarded is after a wholesome study of my activities. And that was the second. There was one that was done about 2 years before in Abuja at Shehu Sharagarie Memorial Hall. And this one was done in Hotel Presidential. One of the reasons why I was chosen was because of the humanitarian activities that I do within and outside my spheres of life. And people realized it and called me and had interviews with me and felt I needed that award. And I give God all the glory for the award.
Excellent. I can see that you work for Nigeria Ajib Oil Company and you are HSE IMS coordinator for all swamp area operations. And you've been quite involved in the Society of Petroleum Engineers. Can you throw some light on your leadership role at work?
Okay, I am my first and only employment after graduation has been with the Nigerian Ajib Oil Company. I
Wow.
rose from a pupil engineer to a senior engineer, and then to a facilities engineer, then a senior facilities engineer. Then I become the company's representatives in artificial lifting, and there I am for a long while, taking care of performances of budgets, appraisals, and then also going to do monitoring, design, installations, and overview of the electrical submersible pumps. And then after I've done a lot in there, the management felt that I've really done well and took me to the health, safety, and environment section. This time, not just to go and do HSE, but to be in charge of the integrated management system, which is the IMS. Now, the integrated management system takes care of all the processes and the procedures of the company's activities. So I am like the custodian of all the processes. I am the auditor of all the projects, and then I can stop and I can start any project just to ensure that my leadership role takes me to a greater hemisphere. That's on my job area. Presently, I'm still there and I'm doing very well. SPA has been my major international company and society that I've belonged since when I was in school. And I have learned a lot from it. In fact, it made me to an extent where I am today. So the leadership roles that I learned from SPE made me grow from one position to the other. I have served in the local section, in the school chapters. I have served in the national chess sector. And I've also served in international category where I've been given several awards, given recognitions in different hemispheres. I think, if I'm not lying, I should be about 18 to 19 years now in SPE.
Yes.
So last year, I was made the chairman of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Port Harcourt section, which is the largest section by landmarks in Africa. And it covers about 7 states in Nigeria. And after I became a chairman, their chairmanship became very outstanding because my leadership role was recognized internationally. Because at the end of my leadership role, only out of over 200 sections globally, only 5% of those sections were given a presidential outstanding award. And out of this 5%, I was the second. My section was the second. So it means that I took second in the whole globe. It was quite
Wow.
interesting. The leadership role exhibited there was well applauded within my section, within the country, and abroad. And even the Africa Regional Director sent me a particular note of recognition. So SPA is something I am passionate about, and I am still in it as a director now, having been a chairman. And I look forward to more opportunities to excel even in SPE.
Yeah, this is really exciting to hear. It just brings me to a question. Ma fermabe opuangala sapo. Inde obara chwa amapo periaroko.
um, so, and in our own little way, we're trying to see how we can elevate the peoples of Wakirike, which is one of my greatest passion. Um, I am a man of humanitarianism. and I love ensuring that people actually have the ability to stand on their own and be what they have without being influenced. So within the place I work, the very few Africans that work there, we formed the Wakirike Nawok branch.
Okay.
And within that Wakirike Nawok branch, we helped ourselves. I am up to now still the chairman of that. We helped ourselves. I took over from Mr. Uru Temeka, who was
Okay.
then the manager. So it has been, even though I was one of the smallest among members of the Wakirike people in Okrika, in Naho, but they made me the chairman, and we've been waxing strong. We even formed a cooperative, a small company, to see how we can help ourselves. So far, so good. That gave me an opportunity to meet as many Okrikans within the Nawok family, and which directly and indirectly I have helped. One of the persons I've also helped had been employed, not just as a contract staff, but be converted to be a staff. I have
Fantastic.
also gone ahead to see that those that could not meet up their personal needs in terms of financial distribution were reached individually or through the association. That notwithstanding, I am in my as a Christian and as someone that has been brought up in the area of Christendom. My dad is a bishop, a retired bishop.
Wow.
So my love for Christ is extremely above human in understanding, whatever I do. So I decided to send for this humanitarianism also to the Christian folk, starting from my I don't know how to explain. There has been several things I have done in there. I have been giving scholarship to several persons for the past 4 or 5 years now, both from the tertiary institution to the primary institution to the secondary institutions. And I have been catering for about 10 to 20 persons for JAM and for WAEC every year, and GCE on different categories. I have also gone ahead to see that I am able to lift up some widows and not well-to-do individuals by giving them good stipends. I know that I might be ghosted sometimes made a project of giving out 10,000 to the less privileged. I have gone beyond that. I have gone to give 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 on group basis to different persons individually, and that has helped them out. So sometimes when I go to my church and around my area, the way people follow me around, I feel even embarrassed, and I feel, please, I'm just trying to do what I feel I should do, and don't make me feel I'm one God. So that's on the church area. And on the aspect of the humans I come across with, I have always given priority to people from the Okrika kingdom. I remember once when I was privileged to be a panel to interview some persons to be employed in a certain organization because they called me as my profession in my status in SPE. And I'm sorry to say this, but everybody pardon me.
Go.
Lifetime we one go to last week. I'm man and I bought one gang be here and interview me. And second, the big board about me in mama po me bracket marabo just bracket kala marabo bin nengi. My board work can boy. So it took me a long while to convince the panel that cricket man must be taken. Without the person knowing, the person didn't know up till now, and the person was taken. Now it was on the date of the commission, they invited the person and told him, please don't disappoint me. I have done what I could do. And the person realized that I have done something, not knowing exactly what I did, but that's something I did on the outside world without knowing the person. Even in my company, there's one person who I fought to make, apart from the person I made a staff, to make a contract staff. This person was abused out from where he was before. But Boy Gosili, coupled with the effort of my wife, we were able to give him a placement, and up to now, he's still in the company working. I might not be able to mention everything that I've done, but the occasional person and their status and their closeness and their upliftment have been a priority in and around me.
Man, we'll be back in a minute. So welcome back. Now, just thinking, going back to your work in the oil and gas sector, the world is moving away from fossil fuel to clean and renewable energy. How can the Wakirike people move along with the rest of the world?
Beautiful. Just very beautiful. Few years back, it was in the news that my company will be taking over from the Port Harcourt refinery to begin to operate it. And within that period, I had a lot of calls, people trying to tell me to try and give them a limelight for them to work in the refinery through my company. And that for me was a starting point. After all said and done, for them to be prepared, I had about 5 persons in the list before the call was turned down and it was downplayed. Up till now, we're still waiting for them. We're here again now that they're going to come back soon. We're playing. We're trying to watch them to come because I have people already. I want to make sure that I do not miss that chance. That being said, the fossil fuel thing, even if people think that is going to pass by, I want to tell them that as in my experience and my studies, fossil fuel will still rule this world in terms of energy for the next 3-4 decades.
Right.
Though we are trying to bring in renewable energy just to ensure that we have alternatives of energy, but fossil fuel will still rule this world. That being said, yes, one amen on our cleaner gases, cleaner energies are good, and I am happy that the Minister of Petroleum is bringing in gas, is using gas as his ultimate project for the year. Even as he does that, the Okrika man is at the hem of you know enjoying things that are happening in the world. And that's why maybe when we get to another question, I'll let you know why I feel that education is key to the sustenance of people. If people are educated, you will not need to be at home or looking for something that is not good to be done just for you to earn a living. There are a lot to do. Apart from the fossil fuel, the renewable energy that we have in this world are abundant in several dimensions that you can actually lay hands on. On the 5th of December, my Society of Petroleum Engineers were doing plastic to wealth. Plastic to wealth. Plastic is from fossil fuel, it's from oil and gas, but people do not know that they can make wealth from it. I have seen a video be done by BBC where people pick up sachets that are used to make water to be able to melt it and use it to do interlocking stones. So the Okrika man needs that education. He needs that exposure for him to know that he can live and become self-reliant using other aspects of energy as prevalent in our country and globally to make a living. As an Okrika man, if time permits me and if it is possible, that is one thing I am really, really hoping to do. Because as time goes on in the nearest future, most graduates, most intellectuals will not be so much needed again. What we'll be looking at are the artisans. What will be looking at are those that can actually do the practical work, even though we will still have intellectuals. So this being the artisans and those that actually can do one thing or the other, if we tap on it from now, the critical personalities will be a blessing to the country and the world at large. And so I want to say that fossil fuel is good. Everybody wants to work in oil and gas industry, but let's look elsewhere, especially now that we know that the oil and gas industry is becoming too congested with interest from all sets and corners.
Okay. Now let's move on to have a critical look at your hopes and your fears for Kirike Bese. Mina Semi de Yaneroku. What are the opportunities? What are the threats? What are the weaknesses? What are the strengths? What are your hopes and your fears for Kirike Bese?
Wow, this is a very good question. When I saw it, I felt, yeah, there's something we need to talk about. But it's my own personal opinion. First and foremost, I really, 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 from the bottom of my heart, want to appreciate the Amai Ibi Gose, coalition committee and their works headed by you, Mabie. From the very first day I was called in, even though I've not been very, very attentive in the meetings, I have always contributed. The very first day I was called in the presence of Precious Bishop Precious Omoko, I
Mm.
made my donation of 100,000. That was about 8 7 8 years back,
Yes,
and I
that's
never
true.
wanted. And ever since, no matter how small, when I'm called upon, I always make donations because I love the initiative. I might not have the time, I might not have the big initiative to be able to make it happen, but the little I could in my capacity finance, I try to give it. So my hopes, one of the hopes, is that the Amaibi Gose, should one way or the other, even as they struggle to make sure that they make ends meet, bring that expected unity in the Wakirike kingdom. If that can happen, when once we have that united unification, every other thing is trivial, and we will go from place to place. And so I pray every day for my because successfully. 2 days ago, I was called upon to that the fourth Wakirike concert will be holding on Saturday. I said, please, where is it happening? What is happening? Even though I know I won't be around, I need to contribute because I love it. So that's one of my hopes, that it shouldn't just end as just this campaign, but it should bring the needed unification within the kingdom. Secondly, I have come to realize that even if we call ourselves Wakreke, some persons do not think that there is some kind of difference, there is some kind of distinctions between us. No, our forefathers that called us Wakreke said, did not make mistake to call us Wakreke. So I really do pray and wish that the aspect of being one and other person's keeper, being our brother's keeper every day and everywhere we go, should be a watchword that we will not forget. We should always think about that. That is a hope that I pray for. Thirdly, I have come to realize that we have to become more self-reliant and more self-dependent. The urge for people to look for greener pastures from one place to the other, or the urge for the people to be able to have a sense of living, is making people doing a lot of things that are wrong. And that's because there is no self-reliance, there's no self-dependence. I wish we could, Okrika man could now say that yes, whether it's through fossil fuel, whether it's through other source of renewable energy, whether it's through fishing, whatever, that I am self-reliant. I can actually stand on my own and feed my family. That is a prayer. And that is one thing I feel that the Okrika man can do because he has the strength and the energy. I have also come to realize that even if education is prevalent in our societies, most of us in the Okrika kingdom are not well experienced. I mean, it's exposure wise. And the education is not there because some of them cannot fend, some of them are not given the needed education for them to know. Now, I'm not just talking about education like we go to school and we learn the Englishman way of life. I'm talking about education as it affects you individually to make a living without being employed. That education is needed. And I really hope that in the nearest future, we will have, I don't know the population, I don't know the demography, but I'm feeling that if we have a little above 50% of the population of PKSF being exposed and educated, we will start making a very good positive intervention in the things that concerns us. And lastly, one of the hopes that I look at is all Africans worldwide to always remember that there is home called Lokrika and think of it in its projects, in their projects, and in all ramifications. I went to the United States several years back, and I was in love with the Houston Okrika Coalition. When I joined it, I was happy. And then when I went to California, I realized that there are some persons who are half Okrika, half other places,
Mm.
and they don't want to associate with Okrika. And I spoke with them and I told them, they said, African people, they hear that they have a strong head. They're always fighting. I said, what kind of perception is that? Is there any person that doesn't fight? Is there any person that is totally do? You have to look at the merits of what is happening and be associated with it. I'm happy that after I made that campaign, I was able to win 2 souls back to the coalitions in the United States. And so the aspect of thinking that the Wakirike said encompasses anywhere you go and come back to feel the impact in terms of projects and in terms of all the things that will make Okrika become what it's supposed to be. It's something I really, really wish for. And I pray that it comes to pass in the nearest future. These are just
Amen.
my
All right, thank you so much. So you talked about the issue of, the Wakirike Development Coalition really being a tool to not just talk about Wakirike unity, but actually to get it to come to pass. And
Exactly.
the concert is on the 13th of December at St. John's Church, Bloma, 13th of December. That's a Sunday. Okay, now, it's just a hypothetical question I'm going to ask. If you were the chief executive of Cricket Bese organization, if you were the Ogakpatapata of Cricket Bese,
Before you go to that question, I did
yes,
not talk about the fears. My fears,
okay,
no.
yes,
That question was two-way. I talked about the hopes.
okay,
You know, um, I have watched Oprika Man in several ways, and I have some fears. Yes,
okay,
I am praying for the hope. The fears I have, one of the fears I have is that there is a possible cause of segregation within the Koniju and Tuboniju realities. Now, this possible segregation is because of the so much mention of these two different to Koniju, Tuboniju. I fear that someday it might skyrocket to cause a problem. And I pray it doesn't come to pass. I really pray it doesn't come to pass. The other thing I want to talk about as my fear is the presence of nepotism. I have realized that some persons are after who they want to please without knowing that we are one in terms of Okrika. I want to believe that as an Okrika man, you should know that Okrikan, whether you're from Anyugubiri, you're from Tubonibiri, you're from Agbabiri, we are one. And so if you have some preference to any person, not taking into cognizance of the Biris and the polos you come from, because based on Okrikan, you should be able to go ahead and give the assistance rather than the assistant to pass by. I have also the fear that the forgetfulness of the word Wakirike is becoming too prevalent. I want if actually they I might because to preach this word Wakirike and let them know the intent meaning of that so that we will be able to live with it and ensure that it becomes part and parcel of us. One other thing I'm also fear about is the non-realization of the 9 clans of Wakirike. You will agree with me that so many of us know that the Okrika kingdom is made of 9 clans. But some of us do not know which clans are they. I have asked this question several times, and people keep telling me that some communities, they even say Georgiama is a clan. Some say Kaliyama is a clan. Some say Saka is a clan. So these things actually needed to be known. And if it's only when you know them, you'll be able to know how to develop them and make them come to pass. It will also interest you to know that the word Ele is dying away. It's almost becoming an extinction. Many people don't know there's a word called Ele. And this is one of the clans that make up the Okrika kingdom. I think that that's a fear that it might go to extinction if we don't try to bring it to par, that the 9 clans of Okrika still stands and they hold a greater part of the Wakirike kingdom. These are just the fears I need to outline here. I can now take your next question.
right, okay. So just to recap, you talked about your fears, starting from the last one, that there are 9 clans originally, and people need to know their history and know the 9 clans. And Ele particularly is one you also mentioned. You expressed concern about segregation, about the dichotomy of Koniju to Boniju, and that we have the forgetfulness of the word Wakirike you've mentioned, and that we should remember that we are one and eschew nepotism.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so if you were this chief executive officer, the Ogakatakpata of Cricket Bese, and money was not a problem, what will you do in 1 year? And why would you do that?
Thank you. I am very for that question because the second part of the question was if money is not a problem, I,
Yes.
I don't even see money as a problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I am not the CEO. If I am the CEO, there are things you will do even without money, and you will accept. Because people will say, because there's no money now, I can't do this because there's no money. But that is not it. The passion has to be there first.
Okay. So the first thing you said, the passion has to be there, which is great. So again, you are the imaginary CEO, and if money is not a problem, the from your point of view, the first thing that is required is passion. If you have the passion, you have the commitment, then the work is already in progress.
The passion for them to do the things they want to do for the development of Wakirike is key. And that passion does not really mean you must have money. It doesn't mean that you don't have you don't have what you need to do what you want to do. First of all, the passion. Now, going back to your question, if I am actually the CEO and having all that I need, like you have right mentioned, the very first thing I would introduce is education. And that education I'm talking about, it's not just the education of going to school to learn 1, 2, 3, ABC. No, I'm talking about education that will give you dependence on your own self to bring forth the self-reliance of things to do. I'm talking about education that our people, so that our people to feel the reality of life. I will also insist that while the Nigerian language, the Nigerian lingua franca is being taught, which is English language, I will insist that all primary and secondary schools should compulsorily teach the Okrika language. It is almost becoming an extinction. Even me that's talking here, imagine I'm not even fluent because I don't have the privilege to learn it that much. Thank God for the Wakirike Okwen app that is on. That is I'm using to teach my children every day. It's not an extinction. I will make sure in the first 1 year that Okrika language becomes a compulsory course for every school, whether you're an Okrikan or not. Because you are in Okrika, you must learn it. Yes. And with that, you will see that we will begin to rejuvenate our culture, rejuvenate ourselves, and become who we are. Now, that being said, I will not also forget the fact that skill acquisition has become the order of the day. In several conferences that I've held, I have gone to, I am beginning to realize that the world is becoming more of robotics, more of automation, more of controls. And these controls give rise to people that are really intellectuals to be less important. But the people that are going to be more important in the next few years to come are those who have the practical knowledge, those who can actually do something with their hands, those who can actually go from place to place to be able to showcase themselves. Yesterday, I will tell you something. I was called by a financial organization to come and invest in the organization. Now, this company has lived, they have only registered for 22 months. And within these 22 months, the CEO of that company is not a graduate. He only learned programming. And from programming, he has done a lot of programming that is now into the fintech. He's now qualifying himself as somebody that you can look at as that of Paystack. And he told me that within 22 months, he has gone so far. He spent about 44 million so far to build that contract up to now. He's telling me now that his company is worth 1.6 billion naira.
Wow.
And he wants me to buy into it. And he's telling me he can only give me 19%. And that 19% was going to cost me about 322 million naira. And I asked myself, if within 22 months, a programmer can be this effective, I don't think an engineer or a master's or even me, if I followed my path, I would be that. So it is for software is becoming the order of the day. We're talking about artificial intelligence, we're talking about machine learning. And you don't really need to go to be a graduate to do that, but you can actually do a lot of corresponding courses, and with hands on deck, you will become a perfection. So the skill acquisition is not just coming to learn how to weld. It's not just coming to learn how to do hair. It's not about coming to learn how to do carpentry. No, I'm talking about skill acquisitions that will make you stand the test of time in the industry, be it textile, be it petroleum, be it manufacturing, wherever. So I think that the first year that I will do is to make sure that if you are coming for skill acquisition, you are being trained in a way that when you finish, people will look for you. They will look for you. Or if they don't look for you, the Okrika Kingdom will be able to give you some good finance to start up such that you become renowned. When you do that, you become an employer of labor. And so it is for those that really want to go to school and become graduate. You do graduation to an extent that you know that when you come out, you are somebody to call upon. And so it will be for even those who will be doing apart from the school, those that will be doing acquisitions, and those that will just want to like learn what they want to learn.
Yeah.
Basically, is to ensure that we have the exposure, the experience, and the education come to bear. So for the first year, I'm going to be strict on that, and I will make sure that it continues, even though the other aspects of life come to pass in the following years to come. I wish God gave me that privilege. I will do it, and it will come to pass.
Man, that's really good to hear. Honestly, it's been a fantastic session so far with you, Naminabo, Doctor Engineer Papa May George Ewo. We're bringing this excellent session to a close shortly, and honestly, I have been really educated, and it's been quite exciting. Is there anything else you want to say, particularly to the young and upcoming Wakirike people, those in their 20s and 30s? Is there any message you would like to? They are the future of cricket, Bese. Do you have any message for them?
Yes, I do have a message for them. And one of the message I have for them, the most important thing I have for them is peace. I've come to realize that there is no progress, there's no development in an area of rancor or unrest. I know that before now, the critical persons are looked at as warriors. And I'm sure we're still warriors to our neighbors, not to ourselves. So if we are warriors, let us be warriors to our neighbors, those that look for our trouble, not to ourselves. Now, these youths, because they are the future leaders, they are most times being used to perpetrate a lot of evils, especially during politics and sometimes during chieftaincy razzles and sometimes during some tussles within the community or a section of the community. It is my prayer and wish that they try to maintain and do not allow themselves to be used by other individuals to ferment trouble and cause mayhem. Now, while saying that, I also want to say that the youth, knowing their status, should look for a meaningful way of making money. And I think that the local government or whoever, the well-meaning people, and I'm saying this also to maybe say, if we can form some kind of a group or a committee to look at people, youths that have the passion to be able to make a meaning as to be self-reliant and contributing towards it. So showing that these people are monitored. This is not just skill acquisition. This is not just about market women, but about the youth, because they are the future leaders. And follow them up to become somebody when they finish will be a good thing. Because I know most of them will say they don't have the capacity, they don't have the know-how, they don't have the finance. So the youth should maintain peace and not allow themselves to be used to foment trouble. The second thing I also want to tell the youth is that there are a lot of things to make a living, not through a rough way. There are a lot of things. The last time, one of the times about 3 months ago, somebody met me that, oh, uncle, I have £1 million, but I don't know what to do with it. And I just go to Google and I ask small scale businesses worth 1 million. I saw millions of them. And I said, look, there are a lot of things to do with your money. All you need to do is a passion and to know the know-how. I educated somebody about trade. And the person is making money buying motorcycles and using them to do errands during this COVID period. And is making money. That a lot one can do. So I want to plead with them that they should look for a meaningful way of making money and forget about the rough way. 2 days ago, you must have heard that there is a big fire outbreak in somewhere around Bayelsa State because of bunkering, because one person was able to light cigarette.
Wow.
Now that's a hot way of making money. And when you make money like that, you never can tell what will happen. Sometimes it can consume the whole family. And even when you do that kind of a thing, the air you inhale while doing that could cause you early death. So I know our people are more into this, but I want to plead with them that think of a better way of making money. There is a saying that little drops of water makes a mighty
ocean.
Better you take it gradually, small, and you recognize and you make it mighty than for you to rush into it and you get grounded. That's my advice to the youth. And I pray and I wish that with that sentiment, they take it wholeheartedly. And I'm ready to be able to give them counseling as the need arises.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one last point. What about modular refineries? Because you just talked about the dangers of bullfire, isn't it? What about modular refineries?
Beautiful idea. Beautiful idea. You know, just yesterday, 2 days ago, I was invited by the managing director of Walter Smith, to come for the very first modular refinery that will be unveiled on the 24th, next week, Tuesday. It was programmed within the COVID period and was shifted to next week, Tuesday, and it's going to be somewhere in Imo State. And that's a project by Walter. That's the first modular refinery. And it's going to be commissioned by the president himself. It's going to be given about 5,000 barrels of oil, and the intention for the second phase is for 10,000 barrels. I was also informed that there are about 5 other, modular refineries that have been awarded, which are undergoing some kind of construction is going on. One of them is in Rivers State. 2 of them are in Rivers State, actually. So modular refinery is a thing to do. It's a very good thing to do. Unfortunately, and I will say it unfortunately, our government is all about politics. So sometimes the best decision is not made, especially for those that benefited. You must have heard what happened a few days ago when the South governors came to meet, and then it was the phone call, the whole meeting was disrupted. You can imagine. So that's the problem, but that should not deter us. I want to believe that we can actually align ourselves with modular refineries and come to be. And we can actually have one in Wakirike. After all, we have refineries there. Just get a land and have one. It's a matter of coalition. And I'll be ready to align with any person that feels that we should have one, and then we'll move for it. Maybe that will be another source of creating employment and make us much richer.
Yeah, we've come to the end of this session, and just to summarize, it's been engineer Papa Major, doctor engineer. Congrats again on your award. You said a few things, starting from the end, that if you were chief executive of Wakirike Cell organization, that passion will be the first thing. Even before we talk about money, we must have passion. And that education for self-reliance, not just 1, 2, 3 education, which is theoretical, but education that will help us as a people to be self-reliant. And that all our primary and secondary schools, the curriculum, compulsory, doesn't matter. As long as compulsory. And then skills acquisition, not just welding or all the common skill acquisition, but even going toward the realms of zeros and ones, because the world is going to automation, controls, robotics, and all that. So that higher level of skills and acquisition. So you mentioned that. And then for the youths, talked about the importance of our young people maintaining peace and also looking at options for having meaningful ways of making money. And earlier on, you talked about your hopes and your fears for Cricket Bese. About I think you really had a wonderful time today. So I just pray that from what you have said, people in leadership will have heard, the young will have heard, and Tamadu Cricket Bese, I brought up with Jesus Christ.
Amen. Yes. I don't think me have an apple. Mama, privilege me go sini. Mama, ye wadu kari ye marpa, ye muna bu ye so, ba bring me and bo so me awara.
Yes, okay. Bye bye.